We're back with another round of 5 ingredient recipes, and this time it's all about soup again. 2 simple, satisfying bowls, a garlicky chickpea soup that's creamy without cream, and a carrot ginger soup that somehow tastes like you put way more effort into it than you did. These are pantry-friendly, fridge-clearing weeknight soups, no fuss, no $15 spice blends, although I have to admit, that sounds kind of amazing. Have you ever spent that much on a spice blend or ingredient? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, these recipes are good as is, but totally customizable. Add herbs, topping, a splash of cream if you're feeling fancy, but they don't need it. They stand on their own. Let's get into it. First up, the garlic chickpea soup. Here's what you're gonna need. 2 cans of chickpeas, 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. Now, you could use more if you want to fight off some vampires. Next, 1 medium Yukon gold potato, about 150 grams. I was gonna use this russet, which totally works, but they do fall apart a bit more when making the soup, and the Yukon holds its shape if you want something with a little more bite. Next, 4 cups of broth, chicken or veggie, and finally, the juice of 1 lemon. I swear this is a lemon and not a grapefruit. It's from my father-in-law's garden, but I got this little one to use, so I'm going to use that. Let's start by opening up 2 cans of chickpeas, and because I have 2, I know that there are 2 ways to open up cans. One where the opener is perpendicular to the can, and the other way where you lay it flat on top, which I have just concluded is the easier and safer way to get it open because it doesn't leave you with sharp edges. So you learn something new every day. Now I'll drop the chickpeas with the liquid in my NutriBullet container and let's blend that quickly. That becomes our creamy base. Then I'll drain the other can of chickpeas and save the aquafaba liquid for another recipe. These chickpeas help give the soup more bite and texture. Next, chop the potato into small chunks. Smaller pieces cook faster and blend easier if you want to go that route. And you can always peel the potato, but I don't find it worth the trouble for this soup. I'll set that aside and prep the garlic. I like mincing the garlic on a microplane to ensure I get the most out of it. And don't worry if you have some larger pieces near the end that don't get grated up, that will get tossed in. And of course, if you don't have a microplane, you can chop up the garlic finely and make your own paste. Now, heat up 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil in the pot. I'm using a little bit more than you might normally use because once that's warmed up, I'm going to add those larger pieces of garlic that didn't get grated, and I'm going to put those in first to infuse the oil with garlic, and also that extra fat delivers a lot of flavor. Then I'll lower the heat and add the rest of the minced garlic. You have to watch this closely because you don't want this to burn. So keep the heat on low and stir gently for a minute or 2 or until it starts to smell great, like a nice mellow and fragrant aroma. Then I'll add the drained chickpeas and mix it around a bit to coat everything. And of course, add the chopped potatoes right into that garlicky chickpea mix. Stir to coat everything again. I noticed that a bunch of pieces of potato weren't cubed properly, so I'm going to ferret them out and cut them so that everything is cooking evenly. If you happen to see any that I've missed, let me know. Just kidding, I can't hear you. I wonder if anyone yelled at their screen. But it's good to know that any mistakes can be corrected, especially with these simple recipes. Aha, there's one. Okay, so now that everything solid is in, keep mixing it around for about 2 minutes, giving everything a little time to cook in the oil and garlic. You want it to soak up all that flavor before it goes swimming in broth. Now I'm going to add the pureed chickpeas and the broth. You may want to use the broth to make sure you get all that chickpea mash from your blender. After that, I'll bring the pot to a boil. Then reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 20 minutes or until the potatoes are nice and tender. And you can cover the soup if you want. And as a last bit, you can blend up some of the potatoes once they're soft. It all depends on the texture and level of creaminess that you want in your final soup. Once that's done, turn off the heat, give it a quick taste with a clean spoon, and season with a little salt and finish it off with a nice squeeze of lemon. Remember to add a little first because you can always adjust more afterwards. I know lemon might seem a little odd, but that tiny bit of acid brightens and opens everything up. Go for a second tasting and adjust it with more salt, lemon, or both. And if you're feeling fancy, a swirl of olive oil and some chili flakes on top wouldn't hurt. But even on its own, it's creamy, garlicky, and deeply comforting. Up next, the carrot ginger soup. This one's a little brighter and a little more zing, if you will. Still super easy. Here's what you're gonna need. 500 grams or about 4 or 5 carrots, 1 thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger, 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, more if you like, and a half of a yellow onion that's been sitting in your fridge for God knows how long, and lastly, 4 cups of broth. Start by peeling and chopping the carrots into rounds so that they cook evenly. In case you were wondering, I bought these fancy multicolored carrots for a grated carrot salad dish that I'm working on, and using only the yellow and orange ones for the soup, so it looks nice and bright. I have purple carrots in the package, but while the taste is the same, the color would be less appealing. Set the carrots in a bowl and off to the side, and chop or mince the garlic. Then grate the ginger on a microplane, and of course, you could chop it up finely as well. I don't worry too much about the skin, it's paper thin, but you can always use a small spoon to peel it off. And finally, rough chop or dice the onion and set that aside in a bowl. As a general rule, I like to warm up the pan for a minute or two and then add 1 or 2 tablespoons of oil or spray and let that heat up for about a minute or 2. Start with the chopped onion and cook it. Keep stirring on medium to medium low for about 4 or 5 minutes until soft and fragrant. Don't rush this part. And make sure that you're not browning the onions too much. Then toss in the minced garlic and ginger and stir until fragrant, about 30 seconds or so. The order of operations matters here, in so much that I add the onions first and then the garlic and ginger to protect it from burning. Garlic burns quickly and so does ginger, which is why you really need to be careful when cooking it in oil solo. Now, add the carrots and give it a good mix for a minute or 2 to coat them with the onions, garlic, and ginger. Remember, you aren't trying to brown the carrots here, but you are welcome to give them a little bit of color if you like. But once you are ready, pour in the broth. Give it a generous pinch of salt and mix it up nice and slow. Bring the soup to a boil and then lower the heat and simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes until the carrots are fork tender. You can cover the soup up if you want. I happen to cover mine up this time. For me, this all took about 25 minutes. Now to blend it. This soup is typically smooth, but again, you can keep some texture. And of course, an immersion blender if you got it, regular blender if you don't. Just be careful with the steam. Hot orange soup is not a fun thing to wear. Some part of me wants to do this off screen for both our sakes. I am seriously putting an immersion blender on my birthday wish list if I keep making soups like this. Once it's silky smooth, taste and season with salt. That's your base. But if you want to dress it up, a swirl of cream, coconut milk, or hear me out, even a drizzle of maple syrup adds a little extra richness and balance. Totally optional, but very worth it if you've got it around. So that's 2 soups, one creamy and savory, one bright and gingery, both 5 ingredients. Let me know if you try them, and I'll see you in the next one.